This is Gareth Southgate, and this is the Three Lions podcast.
Welcome to the Three Lions podcast. My name is Russell Osborne, and this, as most of you will know, is an England supporters podcast. And with a few new listeners recently, I'd like to say hello and welcome to you too. Now, I hope you're all well, and this is a welcome distraction to the outside world for a small period of time. All previous episodes can be found at your usual podcast provider, or indeed at threelionspodcast.com. Now, we've got two series on the go at the moment. Back over Christmas and the New Year, I spoke with 8 different England fans about their experiences of following England at the European Championships. The aim was to release them once a month in the run-up to this summer's Euro 2020. Obviously, we all know what has happened to that, but I've decided to continue to release them. And Euro 96 was recently received really well with Dean Cornish. Euro 92, 88 and 1980 are all still available to listen to, and Euro 2000 is coming soon. But in this current situation that we find ourselves in, I thought we needed some more positivity. So again, I've been chatting with various England fans about their first England away trip. Whilst it's fundamentally travel and football, there's often so much more to it than that. The previous episode, I spoke with a good friend of mine, Dan Smart, as we both experienced our first England away together back in 2001. This time, we're only going back a few years, 2016, and the ill-fated European Championships. However, there was a high point, Wales in Lens, and luckily, Liam Edwards was there. I'd like to welcome to the Three Lions podcast on another of our Your First England Away Games series, star of stage and screen, Liam Edwards. Hello.
Hello, Russell. How you doing, mate?
Not too bad, thank you. You?
Yeah, not too bad. Obviously, we spoke before recording about this virus thing, and you know, I think these kind of things will help a lot of people. I think it's good to kind of reflect on the memories of football because we all kind of get swept up in it. So yeah. I think looking back at some old England games, and that'd be good.
Brings the memories back, and unfortunately, your first England away game was a positive one.
Yeah, it was. That doesn't happen all the time.
No, I'm sure there's many out there that go, "Oh God, I remember my first England away game. I spent all that money and we lost."
Yeah, no, it was a weird one. My first one. So I wasn't part of the England Supporters Travel Club at this time. I actually got these tickets for a competition from Hisense, which I believe were a TV company.
Okay.
And this was off of social media on Twitter. And I was working at John Lewis at the time. Obviously, this was back in 2016. And my friend said, Liam, look, all you have to do is just tag a person and retweet it. And I was like, England-Wales, like in the Euros, that was like the hottest ticket in the whole, probably the Euros at the time. You know, it was, such a massive game. And he said, just go in for it. So I tagged my mate James at the time, ironically. And then obviously I saw the tweet, and there was just loads of people. There's like hundreds, thousands at the time. I was like, it's one of those, you put your name in, you'd be lucky to see it out. Then I was on my lunch break, and I had like 10 notifications from my mate James at the time. I was like, what's going on? Like, I was like, what's the deal here? To then see that I have a notification from Hisense to say that I was one of the lucky winners.
Amazing. How many winners were there? Do you know?
So they only chose 6.
Right.
6 winners. I think if I can remember right, it was 2,100 people went in for it, and 6 won. And I was just like, wow. I was like, I never really won anything like that before. I was just like, oh wait, so it was kind of, I didn't know if it was true at first. You see so many of these things, didn't you? Tickets, ways, and all that. That's like rubbish. And then next thing I knew, me and my mate James were trying to plan it and everything like that.
So was it just tickets to the game?
Yeah, so it's only the tickets. So the logistics of getting to Lens was completely up to you.
Right.
or you had to pay for it yourself. So
And how far in advance had you got these tickets?
I got these, I think, 2 months prior.
I'll say you had a little bit of time to
Yeah.
work everything out.
Which on paper was fine, but I think, unfortunately for my mate James, who I tagged at the time, he was out of work, so didn't actually really probably realise the logistics was actually a bit costly for him.
Yeah.
And so he actually had to pull out, and in the end, it was my dad who came with me. I've always been, I know this is a big one for debate, Russell, but the whole thing of, do you go like a flight or Eurostar on the day, or do you do it prior to the day? I'm always a person who likes to do it a day before, because I never trust it on the day. If something goes wrong, you miss the event.
Yeah.
So we had this discussion, and so we basically decided that we weren't going to take the Eurostar because that was really expensive. I wanted to stay in Lons, make kind of a weekend of it. And my dad was looking at the kind of cost side of it. So we ended up, I think this was on England's Travel Support Club. There was a QPR fan, I can't remember his name now, and I think he's quite known. They call him Jesus, and he's a QPR fan.
He'll know who he is.
He will know who he is. He basically runs like coaches and stuff like that for games, and I think does like the World Cups and everything like that. Yeah, basically that was kind of the starting point, that we had to book that.
So you coached it over?
Yeah, so we had to go from Dover to Calais. So we went on the England's coach. We literally got picked up on the side of the motorway at 4 a.m.
Yeah, been there.
It's one of those, you don't know where your head is really at this point. They're like, yeah, just stop by the just on the motorway, just come like halfway to Dover, and we're like, right, okay, like, and yeah, just got stick your thumb out, you're going that way. Wear your England shirt, so we know, and you can jump on board. And it was like, we didn't know if it was even going to turn up for us. I'll be honest with you. Cut a long story short, I think it was just about probably 4:35 in the morning. Coach pulls up, and we are welcomed by the Jesus QPR man. And he comes out and says, yeah, welcome aboard. What's your name? Paul Edwards, Liam Edwards. Yeah, cool. Brilliant. So we get on the coach, and I kid you not, we got on the coach, and it was just full. Like, it was just rammed. People were boozing, smoking, doing stuff that's probably not even legal. And we were just like, wow, what, and the only two seats, this is funny, the only two seats that were available were right at the back of the bus where the proper ultra English fans were.
They're usually the ones that go first.
This is what I mean. This is what surprised me a little bit. And before we know, me and my old man like, oh god, like, we're England through and through, but some of these guys, they're boozing at 4 a.m, and I'm not sure if I'm in that kind of league, to be honest with you, Russell. So obviously, we're getting, and they were so nice. They're like, hey, here's your can of Carlins, like, welcome us on board. It was basically just like a hallucination at this point, because the amount of dust and kind of smoke that was in the air, you're just kind of like, oh, wow, 4 a.m. Yeah, so then obviously we drive all the way to Doverport, and at this point, obviously people got like, the Strongbow big bottles, you've got like the cans of whatever. We had to ditch all that out of the coach, because obviously when you get to Dover, they search it all, and you aren't allowed alcohol on the premises. So basically, we had to pull over, chuck everything. And this is, you'll hear later in the story how this obviously doesn't go in our favour. So we pull over, and the other coach, we chuck all the stuff off. We carry on. We get to the pool. We were running a bit not so good for time. I think kickoff, I can't remember. I think it was like 2 o'clock, I believe. Top of my head, it was something. It was early afternoon, and we were cutting it quite fine. Even we started so early in the morning, traffic and all that. And I think it was the Le Mans race. I think it was the same weekend. So obviously you'd had so many people going to Dover. At this point, we get there, and the queue was horrific getting down. We got there, and we got the ticket from the office man. He said, right, go park up in that bay, and you wait for the next boat to take you over. But what we did realise halfway through is that we needed to get a certain boat, and if we missed that boat, we wouldn't get to the game on time.
Right.
So, and I'll be honest with you, probably the whole coach, me, my dad, and probably maybe say a handful of others, maybe 6 or 8 others, had tickets for the game. The rest of the guys on there didn't even have a ticket for the game. They just wanted to go for the piss up, quote unquote, as they would say.
Yeah.
So this is the most weirdest thing. So we get there, we get to the pool, and we were like the first ones to basically be in the line of traffic to board on for the ship. I was thinking, oh, that's a bit strange. But I think we said we need to get that last ship or boat before it goes. We can't get like a new one because we'd be late per se. Mm. And the man comes up to us, who's come directing us. He said, "Oh yeah, that one's gone. That one's leaving now." And we're like, "What?" We said that we were told that ship was ours. We need to get on that ship. He said, "No, it's full up. Sorry, guys." So basically, us pulling over to get all the booze off, we missed the kickoff.
Ah.
See, at this point, you got drunk, angry Englishmen at this point who are fuming, and I'm like, oh my god, you got, because I was so adamant we go the day before, we get a Eurostar, it'll be worth it. We won tickets to one of the best games in the Euros.
Yeah.
Let's do it the proper way. But obviously, cost effects and hotel. I think there was no accommodation in Lons, and it was such a small little town. Really, the next big one was Lille, and that was still a bit of a trek out. And obviously, you had the whole thing with Russian hooligans, and ISIS were around at that time as well. So you had like multiple things to panic about. Aside from that, everyone was always so wary about things like logistics of it. So obviously, we're just so gutted, and I'm just like, oh no. So obviously, but the other coach in front of us, who also dropped off, they got on the next ship, so they were going to make it on time for the game. Gutted. So we get on, and obviously we're still in nice spirits. We're all chanting, and all the English songs. And to be fair, our coach driver just floored it. He was like, he weren't mucking around. He really wanted to get us there on time. So Lons from the Calais port isn't too far. It's not a bad drive. You get to Paris in about an hour and a half. I think Lons was about 45 minutes an hour. So he floored it. Traffic was fine because all the gamers kicked off. So he's going for it, and he got us there with 10 minutes just after kickoff, which was
fair play.
Yeah, to be fair, we didn't think we didn't just about see the second half. So we just obviously missed the national anthem and stuff like that. We got on pretty quick. We had to run for our lives. And obviously all the other chaps were like, go, go, go. They were just trying to find a local pub. They didn't even know the game, and this was the best thing. They were, the English spirit was so encouraging. The ones with tickets, they were like, you go first, you make it. But then to actually find out that the other coach, this is the funniest bit, the other coach who actually got on the ship actually got lost halfway through.
You're joking.
I thought you were joking. They actually turned up, I think, around half time.
Oh, how cruel!
I know, you wouldn't believe it. So obviously we're all gutted, and they've got away with it, and they're going to get there on time. So then get a text and find out that they actually arrived at half time. Which
awkward.
It was just like, and this obviously will be arranged by this one poor bloke, and he's getting the stick about it.
So competition winner. Whereabouts were your tickets then? Were you in the flash seats?
They were. This is also quite funny. We were in the corner, right next to the Welsh fans.
So you were at the opposite end to me.
Yeah, obviously they had that kind of corner to themselves.
They had a big block of red, didn't they?
I was literally next to them. And we actually had a lot of Welshmen all around us, all the English on the opposite sides. We was like, brilliant. So we had our shirts on. But to be fair, they were really nice. We had good banter and all of it. Yeah, it's just like, wow, this is amazing. We was near enough right at the front, next to the Welsh fans who were singing proudly. You could hear the English, obviously. Definitely outsung the Welsh. And then obviously the game starts. I'll be truthful with you, Russell. I've been to so many games all my life so far, and I still put it as number one. I know it wasn't such a reflection like on a final, and obviously it turned out to be a horrific tournament for England. But I think England v Wales, for me, just how that game was structured and how it went and how much it means when it's two nations, two countries and United Kingdom. There's so much at stake: pride, passion. You really want your country to do well, of course, with any other country. But I think with this, it was. You could just see in people's eyes they so really wanted to win this. This is big bragging rights. You don't want to lose against the Welsh, as against the Scots. It's that kind of that same kind of mentality.
Well, I mean, and the Welsh as well. It was their first major tournament in however many years as well. So they, and let's not forget, further on down the tournament, they done a hell of a lot better than us. But yeah, it was the first time that the pair of us had met in an international tour or a competitive tournament, England and Wales.
Yeah, I found out about that as well.
So Wales took the lead, and I guess because you were up at that end, your ears must have been just banging, really, with the Welsh going away at it.
Basically, I just looked right. I just saw Bale's free kick, and I just focused on the English fans opposite me. I just did not look left to me, because I had... the only thing that might have got away with it, I think I was wearing the red away shirt at the time, so maybe might have easily blended in. But if it was just a case of we had obviously Welsh all around us, and you just felt so little at that moment in time. And obviously Bale's celebration, fingers behind the ears,
Yeah.
Chest puffed out and strike brilliantly. Gareth Bale with a moment of absolute magic. England 0, Wales 1.
Oh please no! You felt so soul destroying, and I just thought, England under pressure, we need to bounce back from this. But I mean, yeah, I think we got a lot of beer in our face, and well, I don't think it was intentional, but it kind of just came our way anyway. And you're just like, it's weird. I kind of felt like an English fan in the Welsh away end. It was
on the receiving end.
Yeah, it was just kind of that weird scenario.
I mean, it was a good free kick, and Joe Hart really didn't cover himself in glory for it, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was. We know what Bow can bring. I think it's always the kind of player that England always needed. We've always had a good team, but we've never had like a Bow equivalent in our national team. That really solid, top class player that you look at and think, wow, we can deliver. You know, we got like the equivalents of your Aaron Ramseys and people like that who are top players. But I think we've always kind of screamed out and wanted that kind of Bow kind of influence. And yeah, by his class, you know, individually just watching him, you know, you can see how good he is.
Yeah,
Hart should have, of course, covered himself a little bit better.
So half time, the Welsh going 1-0 up, and I remember that the Welsh fans were giving it there. But we came out. Roy obviously gave him an earful at half time, as I can't really imagine Roy Hodgson giving a team a piece of his mind. But he obviously said something. But we came out second half and done the business, and it started with Jamie Vardy, didn't it?
Yes, I would imagine it's probably Gary Neville. I think probably more than anyone. A bit more.
Yeah, true.
I think it's just G Nev just giving it some. Yeah, no, obviously there were things probably said at half time, and you know that maybe needed that little kind of kick up the backside that remember who you're playing and what it means to England fans. And I think it's because obviously the timing of it. You know, I had so many friends, you know, be that at work or still at school studying or uni, you know, all kind of came out of their working day schedule to make sure they watched this game, you know, and that was always the thing I always remember, you know, be that, you know, at work, everyone had it on the iPad on the side, you know.
Mm.
And I think, yeah, obviously we go into the second half and obviously Vardy's goal, which...
Cahill couldn't get off the floor. Vardy's there. England are level. The Jamie Vardy story goes on with another chapter.
I always kind of remember because obviously all the goals were down the opposite end to me. And I always remember it was kind of one of those weird ones where you didn't know what was kind of going on. I always remember it was very jumbled, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was kind of very jumbled. You know, didn't know if it came off his arm or if it came off his leg. But I think when Vardy scored, that was the kind of the push that we needed. I think that kind of summarised where we were going. And I just, that point, I just remember I had that kind of feeling of, you know, this time I had my own beer going over me. So it wasn't. But I just felt that was that's a huge turning point that I thought then Wales would crumble because England, you know, we know what our fans are like. When we get that goal, we really do have that kind of essence to push on and get behind the boys. And I just remember, I think, grabbing my dad's head and probably just chucking it down Rose Ed, and you know, as you do at England international games. But when it means something like that, obviously.
Yeah, I mean the phrase, I mean limbs, so it gets used quite a lot now, and I think that's possibly, I mean that and the second goal. I don't think I've ever been in such a limbs environment. Yeah. I was lower tier behind that goal, just to the right as you looked at the goal. Yeah, great feeling. It's
so iconic, isn't it? You know, I always see that goal, the Sturridge goal, prop up. It was 91st minute. You know, you felt it was the whole day for me as well because, you know, we didn't, you know, a draw against Wales isn't really good enough. You know, we were late for the game. It was so stressful. As much as I enjoyed it all, you know, I mean, it's one of the funniest coach journeys I've ever been on. But it was just that kind of, it just felt amazing just because I literally had all the Welsh next to me. They were giving it all large all game, obviously when they were 1-0 up at half time and so on. And you just hear Daniel Sturridge and it just kind of rolls off the right, I think it was the right foot. Passes Wayne Hennessy, I think they didn't go at the time.
Dele Alli, Daniel Sturridge. Sturridge scores! Injury time is England's this time. Talk about passion, talk about pride. This England team have it in bucket loads.
Probably the pinnacle of all scenes. And I think it's always when Rooney looked down the camera and just grabbed it and went, yes! You know, I think it's one of those kind of iconic segments, even in world football. And just to be part of that and be in the stadium for it, you know, it's, like I said, it's one of the hottest tickets. Our you know, I've gone from working at John Lewis to, you know, picking up a ticket off Twitter, winning a competition and being there. And I think it's just the whole kind of journey of it. Yeah, it's one of those great memories you remember forever.
Excellent, and sadly, that was the best point we got to in that tournament, wasn't it? That was the only win we had after we drew with Russia, then we drew with Slovakia.
Yeah, Slovakia. That was 0-0, wasn't it? I think
Yeah, and then obviously losing to Iceland. Yeah, that was the highest point in that tournament for us.
I know it's a weird one. I think I always kind of reflect on it as one of my favourite games, my favourite game of all time that I've ever seen, but kind of probably one of the most embarrassing English moment of all time. I think probably as well at the same time. If you might speak to most of them, I think that probably was the point of that. But something I'll remember for the rest of my life.
So you came away from there, back on the coach then, and back home. And then what did you do? Did you think, right, I enjoyed that so much, I'm signing up for a membership?
Well, yeah. So it's actually funny. When I came out, we actually couldn't find the coach for 3 hours. So we were drinking. This is the best bit about it, probably. And after it, we're in the middle of London, such a nice city. So you wouldn't think there's a massive stadium in the middle. Such a kind of countryside kind of feel to it.
It was a bit leafy, yes.
Yeah, it was a little bit, wasn't it? And we kind of met with all the Welsh fans. We was having a drink with them. It's quite a good camaraderie and banter between us all. We couldn't find the coach for 3 hours, so I think I bumped into Greg Dyke at the time and had a selfie with him. I think that was
okay.
Yeah, that's one of those weird random things. Walking down an alleyway and Greg Dyke was there. But yeah, obviously speaking to him, and I think just the mood was so good. There was such a happy full vibe, and even the Welsh, as much as they're probably gutted, they were having a good time.
Yeah, I must admit, my experience with the Welsh afterwards was positive. They were all in good spirits. I remember queuing up in a chip shop or something with a load of Welsh, and it was good natured.
Yeah, of course. I think you can have a good bit of banter and have some fun and have that good sportsmanship when you really want to beat them, of course, for obvious reasons. But you can do it respectfully, of course. I think obviously, I got back on the coach. I think it was at the ferry. I think all in all, I must have got back about what must have been at 2-3 in the morning. I think
they dropped you off at the side of the road again.
Yeah, no, that's literally what they did. Yeah, I'm not even lying when they literally just we had to kind of judge where we were and then remember a certain bridge to say stop. And it was, right, see you later, lads. And it was just one of those weird ones. Whenever I've gone for England away games, I think I've always done it in a day. And you get back at 6 o'clock and you think, wow, and this is what I say to people in football, such a journey and such memories you make. And you go to the most random places. Even when I went to the World Cup for Kaliningrad for the Belgium game, that was another experience. But that was like in Kaliningrad, which I never would go to. But the locals there were just beautiful and cracking people. So all in all, I mean, after the Euros, I thought, why not? I'm going to get an England Supporters Club membership, and the rest is history, really. I've just met amazing people, got great friends from it. Always meet for a pint before Wembley games. It's kind of like our nice meetups when we go for the games.
Yeah,
so we don't see each other all the times.
Well, God, just a little about yourself. Try and just tell other England fans about us all. You're a star of stage and screen, and you were in an Oscar awarded film, weren't you?
Yes, 1917, one of the 500 extras that we used on that film, directed by the amazing Sam Mendes, cinematography from Roger Deakins. So when you put two and two together, they're a masterclass of the art. And one of the best experiences. Funny enough, I actually met another England Supporters Travel Club member on set, so we were chatting. And we actually went, our first game was the same, England v Scotland, 2013.
Okay.
So that was quite funny. We started off the same point in our journey with England. And the films had amazing success, Oscars, Golden Globes, and it was one of those experiences where you wanted to do your best job to remember the people who fought in World War One, and I think we've done that pretty well. So that's what I've done for a lot of my life. Worked for the FA for a short stint as well. So kind of going from that fan to employee kind of mindset, and meeting all the players as well, and doing a lot of charity work through the FA. And my office was Wembley Stadium for a few years, so I can't complain about that either.
Not many can say that.
Yeah, no, it was quite a cool thing with the beautiful green pitch, and you'd be in one of the suites, having a meeting or on the phone, and you looked to your right, and there it was, the sun beaming down on Wembley on the green grass. It was amazing.
Sounds great. No, well, thank you very much for sharing that. England Wales in Lens 2016, your first England away game. Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. Cheers to Liam for his time and his memories. You can follow him on Twitter at ed, E-D, _7991. Ed _7991. Here's your chance to get involved. Drop me a line, email 3lionspodcast@gmail.com or on Twitter at 3lionspodcast. Tell me your first away game. Tell me a few stories that came with it and we'll go about getting you on. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. Give us a search there. Also, if you're up for spreading the love, please do leave a review on the likes of iTunes. The more thumbs up means the podcast becomes more visual to people and they can hear it too. I'll be back soon with either another of your first England away episode or England at the Euros. I haven't decided yet. Watch this space. Stay subscribed. Now take care of yourself. Wash your hands. Until then, stay safe. Cheers.